What is freaking up, gamers? What's up, Fooly? What's up, Riley? What's up, Lan? What is up, my darling Lambie? How are we doing today? Sorry I'm a bit late. Was doing some yard work and time got away from me. But we're here now. Let's get some nonary games going. How are folks doing? My darling Lambie. Let's freaking get it going, dude. I don't know why I'm suddenly dropping frames. Maybe I need to restart my router or something. Guys, we are so close, I feel like. We're so close to finishing this shiz. We're in the bee garden. Botanical garden.
Shall we open the pod?
Wink. Never trust sheepy. Yeah, let's do it. There's just a dead body in there. All of us gathered around the pod. The glass was still covered with frost, hiding the contents.
Okay, let's get started then. Ready?
Fi laid her hand on the lever and looked around at us. I swallowed. Yeah, anytime.
All right, here we go. 3, 2, 1.
What happens if the game ends early? I will switch to amnesia. Yeah, I have it, yeah. I've had it for... What the... What? Wait. Wait, I wasn't expecting this. Wait. What? Suddenly my head was full of memories from other timelines. I'd seen something like this before. The warehouse of floor B, in front of the white door. Kay was lying in front of me. I grabbed his mask and saw my own face. I never figured out who he really was. Why was there a man with my face underneath Kay's armor? It didn't make sense. After I'd seen him, I was injected with turbocurarine, and that was the end of it. And that was the end of that. Okay, pod boy. But wait. If the person in the pod was the same person I'd seen on the floor of the warehouse, who was wearing Kay's armor?
You finally noticed.
Eh?
Didn't I tell you? You won't be alone. I will be at your side, watching over you.
What the flip? She's in here? No. Oh my god, you're...
Yes, I am.
I'm sorry, was that a gun? No, okay. She just freaking pulls out a gun. I am, and you know too much.
It's you. June. I mean, Akane from... But you're old.
You're old.
Yes, that's correct. I haven't spoken to you in a very long time, Clover.
You're old and ugly.
Or you, Junpei.
Junpei?
Akane, long time no see.
I could barely hear what they were saying. My mind was still reeling. It felt like all the air had been knocked out of me, and it was all I could do not to not collapse right then and there.
When? How long?
Do you remember when the two of you saved me in the warehouse?
What's up?
Once you saved me, you went back to your future. Well, your minds did at least. I carried your bodies to the third AB room, and then took Dio's to the fifth. After that, I went into the first room and borrowed Kay's armor.
So by the time you and Clover came out, you'd already...
Yes.
Wait, that doesn't make any sense. Dio killed you, and then Luna took your body to the sixth room. You couldn't have been in Kay's armor.
No, it was me. In this timeline, at least. In this one, I wasn't murdered by Dio.
Really?
You two saved me.
I thought there was a whole other ending.
It's just like Schrodinger's cat. Your actions in the future decided who would be inside the armor in the past.
So did the K, did the version of Sigma who was in the armor come out here to the botanical garden and like hide themselves or something? What? No, that's nuts.
Alright, what about the other history? The one where you weren't saved. What happens then? Who's wearing the armor?
That's quite simple. The man in front of you.
Him?
That's correct. Whenever
It's like one of those
I'm not
crazy
in the
doomsday
armor,
shouters. NTS! NTS! Whenever I'm in the not in the armor, he is.
What about the memory loss?
For my part, I confess that I lied. He, on the other hand, was telling the truth. Large doses of soporil can cause memory loss. I gave him a rather large dose.
So, who is he?
You've never seen him before?
No.
What about the rest of you?
What?
I have no idea who he is.
What? Wait a minute.
I've never seen him before.
Have I just assumed that I'm somebody different this whole time?
Me either. Total stranger.
Hey, come on. What are you guys saying? Right here? Same face.
Huh? Huh?
Are you all right, Mr.
I guess I haven't
Sigma?
seen my face in a mirror since I got in
Did you
here.
hit your head or something?
Huh? What? It didn't make any sense. Why didn't they recognize me?
Sigma, your consciousness can jump through time. You can inhabit your body in the past or in the future.
What does that mean?
Don't you get it? You've jumped to the future from 45 years ago.
I looked around frantically. A pond! I ran to it and threw myself down onto my knees. Crawling on all fours, I approached the edge. My heart was hammering inside my chest. A cold sweat trickled down my spine. Calm down. Calm down. Calm down, damn it. I struggled to take a deep breath. Then slowly, I peered into the pond, looking for my reflection. So am I going to be like super old or something? What the hell? What? No, this can't be real. This face.
It's your face, Dr. Sigma Climb.
What the F, dude? What? Sigma's actually a black woman? Shaking my dang head.
Although to the you that's behind it now, it's your face 45 years from now. Zero, the mastermind of the AB project,
What?
is you.
Okay, I gotta say though, like, why did nobody point this out? Like, why was Fi into me? Like, I am not sexy at all. Why did Fi show like even the most fleeting of interest in me with this robot eye? I feel like she was like a little bit, you know, a little bit flirtatious at times. What? No, that's not possible. That's bullshit.
No, it's the truth. Fighting it isn't going to do you any good.
Don't smack talk my girl.
Please, Doctor.
I'm not a
You
doctor.
will be a pioneer in the field of genetic engineering.
You're lying.
No, I'm not. You created him. Well, I suppose I should say you are going to create him.
Create?
His name is Kyle Climb, your clone. That is why he looks just like a younger version of yourself.
Oh, so it's like a grenade up here. What is this supposed to be up here? And there's like an anarchy staff. What am I the staff of?
23 years ago, in the biolab here in Rhizome 9, you created Kyle. Well, I suppose for you, that's still in the future. When I said I was born and raised here, I was still pretending to be him.
That's so interesting. So like it's kind of this like weird like theoretical inconsistency of like, is she in the suit or is she not in the suit?
The gravity here is only 1/6 of Earth's.
Like, was she pretending the whole time to be K, or was it actually K in there?
If nothing was
You know?
done, the reduced gravity would cause his bones to be weaker than normal human ones.
Schrodinger's Arcane.
But you prepared for that. You gave him that armor. Ever since he was born,
Ah.
he's lived inside of it. It kept his muscles and bones strong. He wasn't forced into it for the nonary game. He's been wearing it every day, all his life.
But why would future me create a clone?
He was to be your spare. If something happened to you before the project began, he would take your place.
Okay. Oh, so like, why did
I
nobody?
mentioned before that the AB
Why did Tin
projects
Myoji and
A
Quark
and
not
B
say
stood
anything when
for
they like
after
saw the
and
projection of me in the room? That was clearly me. If they knew it was me. I mentioned before that the AB project A and B stood for after and
before.
before.
That isn't all they mean, though. The A also means anima, and the B means body. Anima is another word for the soul or the consciousness. Body is, well, exactly what it says on the tin. The past
tin.
consciousness will go into the future body, and the future consciousness will go into the past body. They switch. That was the chief goal of the project.
So my future self has been thrust into myself from the past? Wait, so the future person goes into the past person?
Sigma, do you remember the note you found in the
I guess
garden?
the idea then is that like they would be able to prevent the bad stuff from happening?
You mean this, right?
Yes. Ah, of course, it was you who investigated the garden in this timeline.
No wonder you act like a frat guy. Alpha and Beta, Sigma. Yes, Sheepy had no idea that Sigma was a Greek letter. Same with Phi. Although to be fair, I didn't realize that until recently too. I was like, oh yeah, Sigma is an effing Greek letter, as is Phi.
Yeah.
Sigma, take a good look at this. It's an illustration of the time jumps your consciousness is making. A is where everything began. December 25th, 2028. You inhaled the white smoke in your car and lost consciousness. From there, you jumped to B. January 25th, 2074. You woke up in one of the AB rooms in Rhizome 9. You are in your own body, but it is 67 years old. Your consciousness has jumped 45 years into the future.
Okay, the big question though is like, who is the Zero who like did this to everybody else? Right? Like who was the Zero in the past who did all of this? Was it Akane? Because somebody had to be in the past to gas me.
I believe that may explain why you didn't notice the reduced lunar gravity. The body you woke up in was much older. Normally, you would have noticed that your muscles were much weaker. In this case, however, the lower gravity balanced that out. Moving on, if you continue along this line, what happens next?
Akane runs the 999 game to save her own life because Junpei talks to past Akane to help her through the incinerator room? Yeah.
You reach C, which is January 27th, 2074.
Yeah, this is why he wasn't. This is also why they never showed him in any of the cutscenes. Like he was always removed from the cutscenes where it shows people. Did they show his face in any of the effing like shots where it was like showing the reactions after the 999? Or not the 999. The AB game results. Did it ever show his face in those?
That is today.
Oh, happy late, very late birthday.
Wait, what do you mean?
Interesting.
Are you saying it's been 2 days since we woke up?
36 hours to be exact. Have you already forgotten? You were all infected with Radical 6. The virus slowed your brain down. So yes, 36 hours of real time have passed. But to you, it only seemed like 14 hours and 40 minutes.
Gosh, this is so
Now
complicated.
comes the important part. After this, your consciousness will return to the past. It will re-emerge at point D. April 13th, 2029. You will return to your younger body.
But that's the same day as the reactor explosions.
Yes. That is why I said it will be too late. You will return to the past, but the events you would want to prevent will have already happened. The story does not end there, however. The line continues. After reaching point D, you will eventually return to B. But this time, you won't be jumping through time, or at least not at a rate faster than normal. Your consciousness will spend 45 years inhabiting the same body until you reach point B. Do you remember when B is, Sigma?
January 25th, 2074. According to what you just told us, it's 36 hours ago.
Correct. That was when the consciousness of the 22-year-old Sigma jumped into the body of 67-year-old Sigma. So where did the older version of you go when you took his body?
Points A. December 25th, 2028. The day all of this started.
Yes. His consciousness will go back in time 45 years. For a period of time, he will inhabit your younger body. While your younger consciousness is elsewhere, he will be you in the past.
Okay. So, we come here, I get knocked out, and then I come up here to B. We progress up to C, and then C. Sorry, we go up to A. We progress up to B. We go up to C. And then we go to B again. Then we go back to A. Part of our consciousness goes back to A. Once that body reaches point D, my 22-year-old consciousness will come back from point C. Dude, mind freak.
That's correct. When that happens, the older version of you will be ejected from your younger body and return to your body at C.
They explain it in a very complicated way, but you just do swapsies and then wait a long time before jumping around again. The question I still have though is like, where does this happen? Right? Like, I'm assuming that like I'm assuming this is probably like a few layers deep, right? Like Akane must have come here to the future or been here in the future, went back in time and done this to really get this whole process started. I guess I'm thinking about this too linearly, like in linear time. But like if we assume this is like a few layers deep and there's been a few like cycles of the timeline already, that would explain how we were able to go, how Akane was able to go back in time, work with me in the future here to set this all up, to go back in time. Which means there was also a pathway before all of this, right? Where none of this stuff happens. Like before all of this occurs, like there's a pathway where I come up through A, go to E, go to D, go to B, and then start this whole process up, right? And so it's kind of like there's more layers being added to this as stuff happens in the future affecting the past, which then creates this complex interplay back and forth where I get knocked out, wake up 45 years in the future, do all this stuff, go back to D here, and then cycle back to A, And then next I go to E. This diagram doesn't make much sense to me. But yeah, I wake up in B, and then I keep doing this cycle going back to B over and over again until I get pushed back to A. Or rather, my other consciousness is getting pushed back to A. It'll be able to go to E and navigate all of this stuff that's happening, prevent the reactor disaster from happening, and then we can switch bodies again. He'll come back to the future. I'll go back to E and live out the life that I have here, having stopped the situation, right? So it's rotating.
Rotating. I suppose you could put it that way, but look at this illustration closely. What if you take all these lines and untangle them? You get one single line. It may look complicated, but in truth, it's a single
It goes up
straight
here,
path.
cycles through here to 45 years in the past, which then leads to B, may go back to A, go to E again, and exit.
With one exception.
Oh, yeah. Okay, so it does actually show it. So you've got this initial path here with A going up. Wait. This goes up here. This line here at point E, right?
Exactly. Point E is December 3rd.
Oops.
Yes. By now, you've likely figured it out on your own.
Oh, I guess the idea is instead of stopping the reactors, we just stop Radical 6. Now that makes a lot more sense, huh?
The purpose of the AV project was to get the consciousness of the 67-year-old Sigma from point B to point A.
And so we'll wait for a few days to pass, stop E from happening,
45 years.
and then when you stop E from happening, none of this other stuff occurs. So the old version of me will keep Radical 6 from getting out. I guess I didn't realize how close these were. The spacing's a little bit deceptive. You see, this is like 45 years right here, and this is like 4 days. But yeah, this is only 6 days in between the two of these. So yeah, my old consciousness will stay at A for 6 days while I'm stuck here for 6 days, and then we'll swap back basically by jumping into my 22-year-old body on New Year's Eve 2028.
Yes, that is why this line could not be interrupted. In order for the 67-year-old version of you to reach point B, we first have to go through point D.
Yeah, it is a bit of a confusing diagrammatic choice for sure.
In order to get to point D, we must jump from point C. And for point C to happen, we had to recreate everything that happened in this facility.
Okay.
That is why we have faithfully retraced history up to this point. So that we might save humankind from destruction.
Trying to think of like why was this relevant? Why did we need to recreate all of this?
And undo the horrors of the last 45 years.
And we had to awaken our powers. Tell me one thing.
What is that?
You said that point C is January 27th, 2074, which is today. There's going to be a jump, and I'll jump to April 13th, 2029.
Yes, that's right.
But look, I'm still old. When is the jump supposed to happen?
Very soon. Yes.
Soon? And what's going to trigger it?
We need potential energy stored to send your consciousness into the fourth dimension. Fortunately, we now have plenty of that. Thanks, ironically, to Radical 6. All that remains is to launch your consciousness.
Right, and ironically, we needed the Radical 6 to store up the potential energy by slowing our minds down, while simultaneously exposing us to a lot of stress to be able to push our mind to go into the past. But again, there's a reality where where this hasn't happened yet, and we're just creating the AB game or running through the AB game naturally. Right?
Like a bullet from a slingshot.
How do you propose to do that?
Didn't I tell you? A crisis. A moment balanced between life and death. That can jumpstart your brain.
What do you mean?
You haven't figured it out. I mean this.
Dio's knife? No sooner were the words out of my mouth. Fie! I screamed and leapt toward them. Akane was already in motion, the knife diving toward Fi's chest. I was almost there. When I regained consciousness, I was on the floor. There was a dull pain in my chest. I felt for a cut, but something was in the way. It took me a moment to realize it was Akane's body lying on top of me. I twisted my neck to look around. Nearby was an old tombstone. On it was written a few words in Latin. Dang, that a woman can use! What you are, I was. What I am, you will be. Oh, that's deep. The girls are fighting! Okay, it's also kind of weird because Luna knew who I was the whole time. Like, she was fully cognizant of who I was that whole time and just kept it from me. Interesting, interesting, interesting. I suppose I had the same confusion with 999, where it's like, where does the timeline begin? She's a girl's girl. So wait, is this the true ending, or is there another ending after this that I need to get? You think there's more? You think there's another? Okay. I have to get the swimsuit ending? You're right, dude. You're so right. Oh, shit. Oh, so who the heck is Brother? Like, who is this guy? I was kind of thinking he would, like, tie into 999 in some way. Maybe he does, but we didn't really get the context for that. Amy Bota. He's Brither. So, okay. There was a reality where we just progress normally. And we go from being a high school student, we apparently get like a degree, and then we go on. Radical 6 gets released, eventually causes the collapse of human society. And then we escape, we escape to the moon, where we create Rhizome 9, which is one of like a number of like testing facilities, or like a new destination has been added to the flowchart. Right? So we go to Rhizome 9. I study genetic engineering, and I'm able to create like clones and stuff like that, which makes me think I have some connection to the Myrmidons, because they can also make clones apparently. And then working with Akane Kurashiki, who also is, lives and survives. Somehow we meet up, and she probably tells me about like how this whole like Esper thing works. And then we devise a plan to send my consciousness and probably her consciousness back in time to have her be able to gas myself and a bunch of other people, all these folks here, to gas them. Well, except for she doesn't gas Dio, Tenmyoji, or Quark. They're actually from that time. But gases Alice, Clover. Actually, she only has to gas 3 people. Now that I'm thinking about 4. Phi, Sigma, Alice, and Clover. Quark is from this timeline. Tenmyoji is from this time. Dio is from this time. Kei is a clone / Akane herself. And then Luna is a robot from this time. So she actually only has to gas 4 people. Gases them. The big question I have is if she gases them here, right? Where does... Well, okay, it's not actually me. Like this is me from the future. She actually doesn't have to keep my body preserved. But how do Clover, Alice, and Phi survive? Right? Because they're like not old. So they've been somehow cryogenically frozen this whole time. But did that technology exist like 50 years ago? I guess that's the assumption we have to make. I guess that tech must have existed. They were pod girls. So I guess that we have to assume that technology existed and was functional at the time. They were frozen and then presumably transported to the moon after Radical 6 erupted. And then Quark and Tenmyoji went to the moon. Dio went there to stop everything from happening, to keep them from being able to fix the history, writing history and stopping humanity from being destroyed, because that's, what they want with their organization, the Myrmidons. But Tenmyoji or Quark, or not Quark, fucking Sigma wasn't frozen. So what was the point of him getting gassed? Like his consciousness jumps, but what causes the consciousness flip? Is it... I guess what was the point of him getting gassed in the past? Still absurd, he never saw a reflective surface or noticed his eye was poking out and made of metal. I mean, honestly, yeah, fair enough. Oh, so his body was robotic. I mean, that was a good hint. The peril. So he also had to be imperiled in the past in order to allow the transition to happen. But then if he's gonna... So actually, she doesn't even have to deal with these guys. The only person that she has to deal with are... Only people she has to deal with are Clover, Alice, and Phi. Assuming Phi is from the past, too. We actually don't... I don't know if we know Phi is from the past. I think we do, because, yeah, she wasn't weirded out by the dates. So Clover, Alice, and Phi have to be frozen, but I am assuming that Sigma doesn't get frozen. He gets knocked out and then goes about the rest of his life. Of course, we have our older consciousness thrust back into Sigma at some point along that rigmarole timeline back and forth that we have. And that's what then allows him to be able to stop the Radical 6 outbreak from happening. Right? Headquarters, April 13th, 2029.
Today is April 13th, 2029, and this is the evening news. Unfortunately, I'm sorry. I don't have any news to read. All of our station's reporters have passed after contracting Radical 6. So have my... Excuse me. I've managed to keep us on the air until now.
This is true, Brennan, this is true.
But I'm out of tricks. It's time for me to sign off. This concludes our broadcast day. I pray that someday our world can be cleansed of this horrible plague. Goodbye.
For a moment, I just stared at the TV. The roar of the static seemed to fill the entire room, until with a click it disappeared too. Oh, so did I understand correctly that I was going to be like forced to go back? I would be like switching back into the reality where like this didn't get fixed and I'd be forced to live through this like nightmare? Did I understand that correctly? Had the power gone out? I heard footsteps behind me and turned around. You. Oh shiz, Akane, bitch. You looking good, bitch. Full lips. None of those droopy eyes, bitch.
It looks like the first step was successful.
What the fuck? You killed me.
Killed?
I guess technically you're going to kill me 45 years from now, but still.
Hey, no need to be rude about it. I didn't kill you. I hit you with the butt of the knife. You're fine.
Making him sound like a fucking baby. I'm okay?
Yes. You and Fi needed to experience a state of crisis. That was the only way.
Wait, how does Fi tie into this? Like, I kind of forgot about like Fi is also able to transport, but they didn't mention Fi as part of the plan at all, beyond just needing another person who could use the morphogenetic field. Me and Fi?
Yes. I only told you about you, but we also needed Fi to jump.
Here are the 3 treatment pods.
Now, you know what happens next, right?
We go to the moon.
Correct. We will be leaving tomorrow, April 14th, 2029. We've nearly finished preparing your shuttle. Only a few last-minute checks and additions. You'll be traveling to Rhizome 9, along with 3 treatment pods.
Oh, and that's why there's 3 treatment pods, because you only needed to freeze 3 people, obviously. Alice and Clover, right? What about the 3rd one? Who's in there?
Fi. We put her into cold sleep 2 days ago. She appeared at our headquarters and volunteered to be frozen. That wasn't the Fi who jumped from point C, though.
Let me look at this effing diagram again, dude. I feel like my brain is being like put through a pasta maker right now. All right, so we go to A. We have the event. We jump to B, which is where the game begins, right? And then we pass through 2 days, which is really the no-never game happening. We go back to D, which is where we are now. Okay, I think that was my problem. Is I was following through the whole thing already, but she was explaining how this was going to work. That was part of my problem. Okay, so let me go D. So we'll have to pass 45 years to go to B, at which point I'll be able to shunt my consciousness back to A, and then go to E and prevent this from happening by going up here and stopping this whole thing from transpiring in the first place. So I'll go to B, and then my consciousness will swap back to A, which actually means that I'll be here, right? Because I'm gonna live through to B. My consciousness will swap back here to A, which means that the old person's consciousness will come back to here, right? And so we'll swap again. I'll go back to A, be able to live my life, and then progress to E, where I can actually stop this from happening and leave. And then similarly, well, would that change his future too, though? Or is he just gonna have to live with this like crap timeline he's in where nothing changes? It kind of looks like nothing changes for him. Is he just trying to like save a different timeline with all of this? Or I should say, are they just trying to save a different timeline with all of this?
It was Fi before she jumped from point A to point D. In other words, she was following the same path you are, and she still is.
that means that after you froze her, the point C version of her jumped back into her body?
Yes, the Point C version of Phi is sleeping in that pod. She'll stay there for the next 45 years, sleeping in ice.
Then when she gets to point B, her consciousness will jump to point A, right?
Correct.
Huh. So that's why she didn't look old. So why don't you just stick me in one of those
We
pods?
can't do that.
Why not?
You haven't figured it out? You have to spend the next 45 years working on the AB project.
Dude, what a sick what a fucking sick thing to throw on somebody. Holy shiz, dude.
After arriving at Rhizome 9, you must master genetic engineering and artificial intelligence programming, among other disciplines. Otherwise, you will be unable to create Kyle, Luna, and Lagomorph. And, of course, you will need to develop the chromatic doors and the bracelets. You will also be the person who summons Tenmyoji and Quark. Once you've completed all the preparations, then the project can actually begin. January 25th, 2074. You will defrost Phi and carry her to the third AB room.
I also have to wonder, like, was there a reality where Clover, Alice, and like Quark, well, not Quark, Tenmyoji all died in like the Radical 6 outbreak?
Once you've done that, the 22-year-old version of you from Point A will force you out. And you'll just go back 45 years to your own body on December 25th, 2028.
Well, yeah, also, he mentioned this. Wouldn't this be cyclical then? Wouldn't this just keep happening over and over again? Right? Because I'd be forcing my young self is gonna force its way back here, and then it's gonna keep going over and over again. And then I change history. Do you really think I can keep the virus from getting out?
You have to. If you don't, billions of people will die. Only you and Phi can save them.
Until they change the future? So do we assume that like alterations in the past will radically I guess the whole point is that they're trying to not alter the future with all this. Is why they're trying to recreate it as perfectly as they can to not change the future. What about you? Aren't you an Esper too?
I can't do anything on my own. If this is going to work, I'll need your help.
I guess in this world, the time system doesn't really work with multiple universes. It's all kind of like a continuous timeline. Is that a proper understanding of how this world kind of presents time?
What do you mean?
Like, what specific actions do I need to take? When Phi and I jump to point A, what are we going to do then?
You'll both enter the Mars mission test site.
And after that?
I don't know.
What?
I'm sorry. I really don't know anything about what happens in there. We don't know how the Radical 6 escaped.
Yeah, it was like the whole explanation of like a fourth dimensional space looking down at the trees, like the tree, like all the roots, right?
We don't even know why it was there in the first place.
This is how Morbin works. But like, if all the timelines exist simultaneously, then this wouldn't fix every timeline, right? It would just fix a timeline. But the other timelines would keep happening cyclically, right? Oh, crap. Then we're screwed.
That's why we need your help. You have the ability to jump through time and across parallel worlds. We need you to figure out.
Okay, Kel's lying to me. Yeah, Riley says
facility.
precisely. I think that's how it would work, right? Sigma even says it's cyclical. It's like, this sucks. Like, this sucks. We're just stuck. Like, we're versions of ourselves are just gonna be stuck in like infinite loops doing the same thing over and over again.
Things will be difficult.
But like, it's like a it's like a it's almost like a factory, like an assembly line. Like, we're like stamping sigmas and sending them further down the line to be shunted into the future to be able to go fix the timeline, to go back to this point, to wait 46 years to recreate the AB game, to get shunted back into our body at A, to then go stop this from happening, to get into a happy timeline.
And I'm sure you will find yourself in a great deal of danger.
Well, two Sigmas are created, one that loops and one that goes to the fixed timeline. Well, at E, two Sigmas are created, one that loops and one that goes to the fixed timeline.
But I believe the two of you can overcome any obstacle.
Wait, how do you know it's so dangerous? Well, at E, two Sigmas are created. There's 67-year-old Sigma and 20-something-year-old Sigma, and they swap places.
The 67-year-old version of you told me what happened. He wasn't able to stop the virus. So I suppose you could say you told me after you failed.
Maybe I should think about it more after this game is over. You're trying to rush me, Sheepster? What did I say?
That the test facility is full of traps. There was one point. A woman's life was in danger. You risked yourself for her sake, and lost your arms and your right eye.
Why was the test facility full of traps? My arms and my right eye. What the hell? Suddenly a low rumble shook the building. What was that?
Go have a look.
I moved slowly to the window and peered outside. On the horizon, I could see a massive mushroom cloud climbing slowly toward the sky. Would we really be able to change the course of history? No, that was the wrong way to look at it. It couldn't be a question. I had to change history. We could save the world. I'm going to change history. I stared at the darkening skies above us and steeled myself. I would succeed. So okay. Let me think about this. So at the point A, I get pushed into the future. My old consciousness gets pushed into the past. He has 2 days to stop Radical 6 from escaping. He fails to do that. And then I guess lives out his life for a while here. Like maybe the times aren't correctly like synced up. Because like apparently Akane, well no, he wasn't talking about stopping it here. He was talking about doing that. So yeah, he tells Akane that he failed. Then we switch places again. Why do I wake up in here though? Like it's only like 2 days in the future, right? This is quite a ways in the future after that situation, right? I'd have to look at the timeline graph again to get the dates. End or beginning? Shiz. Brother. All right. Well, that, folks, was Virtue's last reward. Right now. Like, right now. Wait, what's this?
Where?
I see you finally woken up, Kyle.
Kyle?
Ah, yes.
Oh, wait. And this is why they didn't do voice. Okay. It's really like obvious in retrospect something weird was going on because like why did they not voice act Sigma this whole time? But this is why, because he would have sounded like an old man the whole time. Which also in retrospect so frustrating because it means I voiced him wrong the entire game. I was voicing him as an effing like Sigma Greek male the whole time, when really he was gonna sound like, I don't. Where are we? Well, he's not that old. He's like what, like 50 something, right?
You've only just woken up in this timeline. It's only natural for some of your memories to be missing.
I lurched upright, jumped off the bed, and ran around to the other side of the partition. The mirror over the sink was covered with a film of dirt. That's true, but his outside voice wouldn't have been right. All right, read you. Pack it up, boys. I wiped it off with my sleeve, and my reflection stared back at me. Oops. There was no mistake. The reflection belonged to...
Climb. So, I'm Dr. Climb? Zero Senior's clone?
What? How do you know
He sounds
that?
way more nerdy than I expected him to.
Shouldn't you still be suffering from amnesia?
An excellent question. One I didn't quite know the answer to myself. Wait, this is Matt Mercer? In another history, he had been called K and had worn a suit of armor. He hadn't just worn the armor in that history, though. Apparently, he'd worn it all his life. Kyle had been born and raised in this lunar installation, which seemed to be called Rhizome 9. Rather late in his life, Akane had appeared as a mother figure, and he had consequently grown very attached to her. I knew everything about him, but even though I knew it, I didn't feel it. Was I really Kyle Klim? Every time I looked in the mirror, I saw his face. The spitting image of Sigma Klim in his younger days. I looked down. There was Dio, still handcuffed. I turned back around to Luna.
What day is today?
January 27th, 2074.
Today is the last day of the AB project. Akane has explained everything in the garden. And she drew a knife and attacked Fei. How long have I been asleep?
About 5 hours in real time. For them, it would have seemed like a little more than 2 hours.
So they still haven't been treated for their Radical 6?
No, they've all been given the antiviral. It just takes a while to have an effect.
Yes, this is effing pain, dude.
I see. So the consciousness of the younger Sigma has gone back into the past.
NTR, dude.
Should have happened right after Akane attacked Fei, right?
This is effing Yahiko, dog. Look at this
Yes.
man.
Why am I here?
The doctor carried
No
you back
pain.
here. You were in the pod in the garden.
So the person you call the doctor is Sigma Klein, as inhabited by his age-appropriate consciousness.
Yes, but how do you know that?
Dio seems to have remained unconscious.
Yes, I've been administering Soparil whenever he gets restless.
What are they gonna do with Dio?
What about the others?
They've all gone off to different areas. Tenmyoji and Quark, for instance.
Are we gonna get like a, here's where they are now?
Oh, right. Mr. Klein.
So the
Let's
sleepyhead's
climb.
finally up, huh?
What are you two doing here?
You don't know where we are?
This is the upper floor of the pressure exchange chamber. The real one.
Mm-hmm.
We were just about to get dressed and head out.
You plan to return them? To Earth, I mean.
Yeah.
Sigma told us where we could find the shuttle that brought us here. Well, guess he's not really the Sigma I knew anymore. He's Dr. Klein now, or Zero Senior, depending on how you look at it.
Well, the idea was that they were gonna bring him back to face justice, but like, there's nothing here.
Why?
What do you mean, why?
Well, I'm just curious why you would choose to return to a devastated planet when you could stay here.
How's staying here gonna help? You're gonna say something idiotic about how we should wait here until Sigma changes the past, are you? You can't wait for something that's already happened.
Yeah, see, exactly, right? Like, this timeline still exists.
Grammar doesn't work that way. Hell, nature doesn't work that way.
Like, so it's just cyclical. It's cyclical. Like Clover, Alice, and Fei are stuck here.
You following me? We've already lived through history. Sigma failed to keep the virus from getting out.
There's just two realities, and it's constantly splitting.
About 45 years ago, Radical 6 created a pandemic, and the antimatter reactors blew up. That all happened. Whatever Sigma does in the past, history's not gonna change.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, okay, crazy.
It's because of what he did or didn't do in the past that we've got this past and present. Let me give you an example. Imagine a group
This is
of
so
100
messed up.
motorcycles driving down an endless
This is
freeway.
so messed up. I mean, I guess in the grand scheme of things, it's kind of better. Like, at least there are some timelines where things are nice now. I think the only person, like, weirdly enough, the only Sigma who doesn't get like a happy ending is the only one who doesn't get a happy ending is the original Sigma, right? Because he comes back, and he's the one who had to start this whole process. He's the one who doesn't get a happy ending. It's the new Sigma, the current Sigma from the timeline who gets thrust into the future, who gets pushed back into a better timeline.
Eventually, they hit a junction. The road splits in two. One freeway continues off northwest, and the other stretches out to the northeast.
Right?
So one guy, we'll call him S, pipes up. "Let's go northwest," he says. So they take the northwestern road. But about a mile past the intersection, something horrible happens. A semi driving the other way veers into their lane and plows through the bikers. 90 of them die. The surviving 10 are wounded, but survive. They don't stop, though. They keep riding down that highway, and eventually they'd gone 10,000 miles. Then suddenly, something happens that they couldn't have predicted. S, who had survived, suddenly has his consciousness thrown back in time. He ends up back in his own body just before they reach the junction. He remembers everything. So what does S do? What anybody would do. Let's go northeast. That means all 100 of the bikers survive to reach their destination, happy and healthy. And they all live happily ever after. That's what you're thinking, right? It's a great outcome for the 100 bikers that went northeast. But what about the 10 that went northwest and survived the accident?
Huh?
Yep.
Wouldn't it be 9 people? I mean, S's mind went back in time, right?
Right. Okay, 9 people then. What happens to the reality they were living? Does it just disappear when S changes the past? It's not as if it was only bad things that happened during that 10,000-mile trip. Maybe one of them fell in love with a woman working at a gas station they stopped at and had a child. Maybe one of them picked up a homeless kid who joined them on their adventure. That 10,000-mile journey would be full of stories, friendships, farewells, romances. The loss of those 90 lives is horrible and unfortunate. But what would rewriting their history mean? The 9 who survived lived full lives. How can it be right to just erase all that? The survivors overcame their own misery and loss and made the best they could of the hand they'd been dealt. Isn't that worth something? Isn't that the best thing that humans can aspire to? Is there really any point to a world where everything is happy? Are people who struggle for a better life just idiots? Being human is about fighting, even when it seems hopeless, and finding happiness, even in a world that hates it.
Hey man, I'm like 12 years old, so this is kind of going over my head a little bit.
Are you saying that's worthless? If you're saying rewriting the past will erase all these other timelines, then whatever God wrote those rules can Look, I'm just not going to accept that, all right? You get it?
If Sigma changes the past, then you and Cork will never meet.
Is he right?
No, it's not going to happen. We're here right now. This is reality. Even if Sigma does change the past, we're not just going to disappear or something.
Oh, then that means we get to stay together? Good.
Thanks, kid.
I understand how you feel.
Isn't that kind of a contradiction to how 999 worked though? Didn't Akane like disappear in that timeline after we like saved her?
Why you want to return to Earth is clear. You have lives there, I imagine. There are likely people waiting for you.
Right.
Uh-huh.
Have you already said goodbye to the others?
Bye, Luna, Alice, and Clover all saw us off. We told them we'd see him again someday, and then came here.
They were the only people you want to say goodbye to?
No point saying anything to Dio.
Besides, he's asleep. You were asleep too.
Sorry, but we didn't really know much about you.
You have a point. Akane was in the armor in this timeline, after all. What about Sigma?
Well, he's not really Mr. Sigma anymore.
Of course.
Yes, the old Sigma is stuck in this timeline now.
He is Dr. Klein now that his consciousness has returned.
Yeah, but more importantly, he's the guy who brought us all here. Not a lot of warm feelings there, you know?
And Akane?
Never mind her. She's just like him. Not the Akane I knew.
Ooh, that's rough. That's rough.
She must have seen some pretty awful things over the years. Hell, she might not even be human anymore. But the Akane Kurashiki I know isn't here.
Oh,
she's not anywhere.
That's so sad. That makes me so sad, actually.
In the end, Clover and I were just pawns. Pawns to be used and then gotten rid of. Still, it's not like we were completely resentful. We had to be here to help change the past. That part's easy to understand, but...
Kinda sucks, though. I mean, Sigma and Phi have it easy. They get to go back to December 25th in 2028.
Yeah, this is so incredibly awful for Clover, Alice, and this Phi. Like, they had their lives ahead of them. Well, not much of a life, I guess. I mean, they would have had to deal with the disaster on 12/31, right? So they'd have like what, like four months to survive before they probably die to the reactors exploding. But yes, when we think about this, we come here, we get shunted to the future, we get pushed back onto D, we live 45 years, then we get put back to A, and then we can leave through D or through E. Wow, like another, like I don't quite get this, like where there's two splits here. I'm trying to think of how that works. Is this just like two different timelines, one where Sigma fails and one where Sigma doesn't fail? E succeeding versus failing. So one of these is again, this is where the cyclical nature of it comes from, because if we lose here, then I don't really get why this jumps up to C either. Like, we fail, and then we jump up to C. I guess that's like this reality here. Like, this timeline would go up to C and then go on. So old stuff has to go back to the future. Well, old Sigma's already back in the future. That happens here. Old Sigma's back here now. Once we come back here to B, go to A. So old Sigma's back in the future. This is young Sigma here. Right? This is following young Sigma. So young Sigma comes here. He goes up. Young Sigma comes down to D. Then young Sigma waits 45 years. Jumps back to A. And then progresses to E. Where they can make the choice of either succeeding or failing, right? Well, he becomes old Sigma in the 45 years? I guess that's true, technically. I mean, if he like... But he has memories that the original Sigma in this whole thing doesn't have.
They'll stop the Radical Six and save the world, and then they'll have a nice, normal future to look forward to. In other words, they get to go back to point E and just enjoy history like it was supposed to happen.
But
I don't think I agree that there's no loop. I think the whole point is that it is a loop.
We're stuck with point C as our starting point.
You told us about Ten Myoji's story, right? The one with the motorcycles? It would be like if Alice and I were kidnapped right before the intersection. Then whoever grabbed us takes us to wherever the bikers are going, 10,000 miles to the northwest.
Don't get us wrong. We know why we had to be here.
The third game really expounds on it a lot better because the added context really fleshes it out.
Without us, S's consciousness wouldn't have been able to go back to right before the intersection.
I think I could probably flesh it out here, but like it definitely is like it's definitely difficult to get it all pieced together. That's for sure.
If that couldn't happen, then the fate of those 90 dead bikers would be sealed. But
it's still not the best situation for those of
You
us.
think I
left
should
in the
keep trying?
Northwest.
Is this not interesting?
We're stuck in the reality where the 90 bikers died.
are we just supposed to go live on Earth? It's a wasteland now. And what about our friends and families? We left a whole world behind 45 years ago.
Even if it is for the greater good?
It just doesn't seem fair, does it?
Yeah, it's a little bit much.
So we went and talked to the old lady.
She told us that there is one way.
One way we could get back to the past.
Let's say you do go back to the past. Wouldn't that cause your minds to get thrown back here? That seemed to be how Sigma and Phi's jumps worked, at least.
Yes, you're right.
But this is different.
Different? How so?
From what she said, it sounds like there's a way we can send our bodies back in time too.
That's ridiculous. It would create a paradox. How could you have 2 Clovers and 2 Alices at the same time?
But that wouldn't happen.
Akane says there's a way around that.
How on earth does she plan to do that?
Schrodinger's
cat.
You can't just say
Oh, hey,
Schrodinger's
Kyle.
cat. Like it's like, how are you gonna do it? Schrodinger's cat.
Figured you'd come here eventually.
Where's Dr. Klein? Luna said you were with him.
He said he was tired, so he's off resting right now. There's a bedroom at the end of the hallway. He's in there if you're curious. Oh, right. He told me to turn on this hologram projector thing when you showed up. Want me to start it?
Sure.
Glad to see you. There isn't anything in particular that I have to tell you. However, I imagine
Wait for the
there are
writers
a
to they haven't
great
figured it
number
out
of
yet.
things weighing on your mind. I'd love to answer all your questions, but unfortunately, my circumstances make that an impossibility. I hope you can forgive me. Everything I know, Phi should also know. I have instructed her to answer any questions anyone might have. Anyone other than Kyle, that is.
What does he mean, other than Kyle?
Who knows? Is there anything you want to ask?
Right, well, I guess I may as well cut to the chase. Just who are you, Phi?
I'm not Superman, that's for sure. And I'm not Batman or Spider-Man or Aquaman or a merman or a wolfman. I'm not a Brahmin or Kamen or Ramen. I'm not a Cayman either, so you really don't need to worry about anything.
Okay,
Please
Phi.
don't dodge the question. About 5 hours ago, Akane attacked you with a knife. That triggered something which sent your mind back to the past, correct? Specifically, you were sent to Point D, April 13th, 2029. On that date, your body was already in Akane's custody. Although by then you were in cold sleep, you wouldn't have regained consciousness, but your mind was now inhabiting that body. That pod was your home for 45 years. You slept there, frozen, until the time was right. Then on January 25th, 2074, you were finally thawed out, even though you didn't wake up. Still unconscious, you were carried to the AB room. That was when your consciousness changed bodies again. A version of you from December 25th, 2028 arrived, pushing you out and sending you back to December 25th, 2028. This is when you finally woke up. In 2028, you found and joined forces with Sigma, whose older mind was inhabiting his younger body. Together, you attempted to infiltrate the Mars mission test facility. Fortunately, your plan failed. The Radical Six did escape on New Year's Eve. That failure determined the path you followed. Instead of going along the line that branches out to the right from Point E, you headed straight to Point D. Point D being April 13th of the following year. That was the day that you made your way to Akane's hideout and asked to be put into one of the treatment pods. Another consciousness enters your body around that time from the future. It is, of course, the version of you that left your body when Akane attacked you in the garden. This caused the two versions of you to swap places, and you moved 45 years into the future, where you woke up on the garden floor. That put you on the line that comes here. So if we discount the time you spent in cold sleep, for you only 3.5 months have passed since that happened. That being when you were sent back into the past from the garden. Have I missed anything?
No, everything you talked about you got right.
Well, what do you mean by that?
I'm kind of an unknown variable in this equation. You could think of me as a kind of X factor. It's taken me the last 3.5 months to understand it.
I haven't understood anything in the last 3.5 seconds.
See, this in and of itself shows that it's a loop, though.
Could you please explain?
It's kind of like the relationship between classical mechanics and modern physics. Strictly speaking, you can't combine velocities with v1 plus v2. v1 plus v2 divided by 1 plus v1 times v2 over c squared is the actual equation.
Eh?
Of course, the sort of velocities we have in day-to-day life don't come close to being c squared,
Okay.
which is the speed of light squared. That means that 1 plus v1 times v2 divided by c squared is usually going to evaluate to something pretty close to 1.
Oh, yeah, of course, yeah.
Since that would mean dividing by 1, it's usually okay to just skip that step and use v1 plus v2.
Yeah, of course.
You see what I'm saying?
Yeah,
In most
obviously.
situations, it works, even if it isn't technically correct. So you knew enough to get the stuff you were talking about right. As long as you stick to that, you won't run into any problems.
I don't quite understand. In fact, I feel like you're dodging my questions.
So was that what you wanted to ask about?
No. What I really want to know is what happened between Christmas and New Year's Eve in 2028. You and Sigma infiltrated the Mars mission test site, didn't you?
Yes.
What happened there? How did Sigma lose his eye and both his arms?
Oh, that's what he means. The facility here. I
And
see,
why
I
was
see, I
Radical
see.
6 in there in the first place? What could a deadly virus have to do with the simulated mission to space?
Sorry, but I can't tell you that.
Why?
Because it would change history. There is a history where the virus didn't escape. That's the line that goes to the right of point E. In that timeline, humanity isn't heading for annihilation, and Earth isn't red. The
Right.
future is much brighter. But if I tell you what you're asking me right now, then that reality will disappear. You understand?
I don't. Why would all of that disappear if you told me what I want to know?
You're about to go back to the past, right?
The past? Don't be silly. I can't do that.
Then where the hell did you learn all this stuff? I just listened to you tell me a bunch of things you shouldn't have known about. You were sleeping in the pod in the garden. You just woke up. So how can you know all this? You know my past. Sigma's past.
Wait, how does Kyle fit into this? What?
I shall give you your answer. You are not Kyle Climb. Your body is Kyle's, but your consciousness is not.
What?
Think about it. Do you really believe you're Kyle? Or could you be someone else entirely?
Then, where is the real Kyle's consciousness?
He was thrown out when you entered. Right now, in a manner of speaking, he has arrived at December 25th, 2028. His consciousness has gone into a body from that time. I doubt you know how much the doctor loves Kyle. He raised him on his own.
What?
Kyle is irreplaceable. Do you really think he would go back to the past and leave Kyle behind here? I know what I told
Okay, that's
you.
that's kind of weird though, because I'm just him, right? That's kind of weird.
That Kyle was Dr. Climb's spare, but that was not his only purpose. Kyle's consciousness is integral to what we are trying to accomplish. This new mission begins on Christmas and ends on New Year's Eve 2028. Its purpose will be to infiltrate the test facility and prevent the spread of the virus. For this to happen, Kyle is absolutely necessary.
And that is why he created him?
Yes.
So now that my consciousness has entered his body, the Doctor has achieved his objective. Kyle has gone back to 2028 to participate in his mission.
Correct.
What though?
One thing that
But who's?
troubles me. Kyle was created before reaching
Right.
point B from point D. That means his body did not exist on Christmas in 2028. Does that mean he has entered my body? Have we just switched places?
I suppose you could put it that way, yes.
That's ridiculous. Well, what's going to happen to me? You're telling me I have to spend the rest of my life here in this box, living in a borrowed body?
No, not at all. You can travel freely through time and space. You are an uncontrolled variable that entered our closed system. As such, the rules of this world do not apply to you.
I have no idea what...
Please don't try to play dumb. I know what you are. Surely you must know by now, too.
Nope.
You are about to go into the past and save the world. Phi and Sigma, even with all of his future knowledge, will need your help. Only you can right the horrible wrongs of our past.
I feel like she didn't really explain how we exist in 2028.
Only you can save the world.
There's no way I...
Yes, there is. You have to. Don't you want to know the truth? Don't you want to know what
I do.
happened
I
in
do.
between Christmas and
I do
New
wanna
Year's
know.
Eve in 2028?
Well, yes, I do, but...
Then you must believe. Reality is shaped by what we believe reality should be. If observation can change the motion of a particle, then how is it odd to think that human thought can shape reality?
Find out next time on Dragon Ball Z Kai.
Your will can change history. The world will be reshaped into the one you imagine.
Never trust sheepy, dude.
Remember what I
Now, to be fair, I took
you.
a lot longer on this because I was theorizing, but
Only you can change history. Only you.
oops, I didn't mean to skip that. Literally the final line in the game, and I skip it on accident. Alternative. End. All right, well, that, I believe, is VLR. Interesting. Oh, that's Akane's ending. Very nice, very nice. Look at this bastard that we did here. Holy guacamole, dude. Woof. Excuse me. That's crazy. We got young Akane's ending up there. Old Akane's ending down there. Let's go, dude. Let's run it back. No, I'm just kidding. I'll do it one more time. Oh! Okay, no more Pinor Blast. That's it. Pinor Blast is done. What achievements am I missing here? I played through both games and I thought I did everything. Found all the files in VLR. What did I miss? What file did I miss in VLR? I got everything, didn't I? What file did I miss in VLR? That's the one you're missing? I kind of like to get all the achievements here, but I also thought I got all of them. Yeah, I don't know what I'm missing. I'll have to like look it up. 23.2% of players have gotten this achievement. I've got literally every other achievement. I want that one. Well, I think in that case, we're going to go ahead and switch over to, you can go see on the rooms if you got the files, I think. I mean, I have all of them. Like, there's nothing else that I need in the archives. I have every single file. No. I'm not doing not doing Danganronpa. I'm gonna start Amnesia: The Dark Descent. I'm gonna go ahead and stop the recording here.